online gambling rampant during MCO. Highest number of COVID-19 recoveries per day. Good afternoon. You're watching Updates at Noon with me, Renee Fong. Online gambling activities have been on the rise during the Movement Control Order MCO period. Without revealing details of arrests, Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Abdul Halim Bador says the syndicates targeted people who were confined to their homes throughout the MCO.
Saya dipahamkan judi online ini berleluasa. Ya? Jadi insyaAllah dalam masa terdekat ini ya, saya akan ambil tindakan ke atas sindiket ini. Dan saya dapati bahawa sindiket ini mensasarkan orang ramai yang sekarang berada di rumah ya, dalam keadaan yang begitu santai sekali, ya, menggalakkan mereka untuk berjudi. Saya bimbang wang bantuan prihatin yang disalurkan ini akan hilang.
Speaking in Bukit Aman, Tan Sri Abdul Hamid said stern action would be taken against any individual found engaging in internet gambling in their homes. Meanwhile, the nation's top cop also revealed that foreign workers have taken advantage of the movement control order imposed by the government to sneak out of the country through Jalan Tikus or cross-border trails in an attempt to return to their home countries. As such, Tan Sri Abdul Hamid said the Royal Malaysia Police PDRM will tighten the monitoring at all border areas and international entry or exit points in Malaysia, especially jetties and ports, to further prevent the exit or entry of illegal immigrants into the country.
So PDRM akan mengambil langkahan untuk memketatkan lagi kawalan di sempadan dan juga di perairan, menerusi opsnya, ops wawasan, ops awas dan ops batas di Sarawak. Sementara di Sabah pula ops taring. So buat masa ini kita mempunyai hampir 2,500 orang pegawai dan pegawai pangkat rendah yang bertugas mengawal meronda di perbatasan dan juga di pantai-pantai.
He said the increase in deployments was in response to the statement by the Health Ministry that the country was at risk of experiencing a third wave of COVID-19 infections from other countries. Police have so far identified 55,000 close contacts of COVID-19 patients, including from the Tabligh cluster. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Abdul Hamid Bador said the data was analysed by a task force from the Criminal Investigation Department before being handed over to the Ministry of Health MOH to urge the contacts to come forward and get screened.
Keseluruhannya. Kita nak mengenal pasti kluster-kluster ni tadi. Dan daripada analisis yang dijalankan oleh task force ni tadi, dia akan berupaya membuat prediction, ya. Itu yang kita menawarkan kepakaran teknologi yang ada pada PDRM ini untuk membantu KKM. Khususnya kepada yang PUS dengan PUI ni tadi, ya. Kita nak memantau mereka, membantu KKM untuk memantau mereka supaya...
Speaking at a special press conference in Bukit Aman, Tan Sri Abdul Hamid said police would also help identify those most likely to be infected with the disease.
Itulah tujuan so yang 40,000 lebih sebenarnya, bukan 40,000.
Malaysia recorded the highest number of COVID-19 recoveries in a single day, with 236 patients discharged yesterday. This brings the cumulative total of patients who have recovered from the disease to 1,241. Health Director General Datuk Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said the country's recovery rate now stood at 32.7% out of the total number of confirmed cases.
Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia ingin memaklumkan bahawa terdapat 236 kes yang telah pulih dan dibenarkan discharge pada hari ini. Ini menjadikan jumlah kumulatif kes yang telah pulih sepenuhnya dari jangkitan COVID-19 dan telah discharge daripada ward adalah sebanyak 1,241 kes, iaitu bersamaan dengan 32.72% daripada jumlah keseluruhan kes. Duka cita dimaklumkan bahawa terdapat pertambahan 1 kes kematian berkaitan dengan COVID-19. Justru jumlah kumulatif kes kematian COVID-19 di Malaysia adalah sebanyak 62 kes bersamaan dengan 1.63% daripada jumlah keseluruhan kes.
Datuk Dr. Nur Hisham added that a total of 102 cases were being treated in the intensive care units and 54 of those cases needed ventilators. The Health Director General further stressed the need for patients to be honest about their possible exposure to COVID-19, saying that withholding such information could cause new infection clusters to emerge. The Solidarity Trial launched by the World Health Organization WHO will see Malaysia's involvement in an international effort to test several drugs in treating COVID-19. The Ministry of Health said the WHO globally coordinated trial is an unprecedented effort to collect reliable data and compare the safety and effectiveness of 4 treatment protocols using different combinations of remdesivir, lopinavir, ritonavir, interferon beta, chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine. Health Director General Datuk Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah was quoted as saying the country's participation in the worldwide trial could help find life-saving medicines from COVID-19 through evaluating their safety and effectiveness. He said his ministry has fast-tracked the process to implement the drug trials to treat patients with COVID-19, which will begin soon. The statement also said the research will be headed by Dr. Chow Ting Soo, infectious disease consultant at Pulau Pinang Hospital, with a new comprising 16 ID physicians and pharmacists as co-investigators at the respective MOH hospitals. The 9 MOH hospitals include Tuanku Fauzia Hospital, Sultanah Bahia Hospital, Pulau Pinang Hospital, Sungai Buloh Hospital, Kuala Lumpur Hospital, Melaka Hospital, Tengku Ampuan Afzan Hospital, Sarawak General Hospital and Queen Elizabeth Hospital. All 4 districts in Kuala Lumpur are now marked as red zones or COVID-19 hotspots. The latest data released yesterday by the Health Ministry's National Crisis Preparedness and Response Centre, CPRC, showed Cheras as being the latest addition to the COVID-19 red zone after recording 44 cases as of 5th April. With Cheras categorized as a red zone, the total number of red zones in the country now stands at 18. The other red zones are Lembah Pantai, Hulu Langat, Petaling, Kuching, Seremban, Kluang, Johor Bahru, Kepong, Klang, Gombak, Titiwangsa, Kinta, Kota Baru, Tawau, Hilir Perak, Jerantut, Batu Pahat and Cheras. These 18 red zones alone account for a total of 2,453 COVID-19 cases. There are also 22 orange zones in the country, 78 yellow zones and 30 green zones. So far, the government has issued 3 enhanced movement control of orders on 2 villages in Simpang Renggam, in the red zone of Kluang in Johor, 7 villages in the red zone of Hulu Langat, and a condominium in Kuala Lumpur. The Chief Judge of Malaya, CJM, and Chief Judge of Sabah and Sarawak, CJSS, have directed court officials to inform them of any judicial review applications and criminal appeals filed by parties seeking to challenge the court order related to offences involving the movement control order. This is to ensure the hearing dates for these matters are fixed on an urgent basis and for the matters to be heard in open court. Chief Registrar of the Federal Court, Ahmad Teriruddin Muhammad Saleh, informed High Court Deputy Registrars and Senior Assistant Registrars of the directive given by CJM Tan Sri Azhar Muhammad and CJSS Dato' Abang Iskandar Abang Hashim. He told the court officials this in a letter dated yesterday, which was cited by the media. Magistrates in sessions courts throughout the country had sentenced offenders to jail terms of several days and months and fines of between several hundred and 1,000 ringgit, as well as a compulsory attendance order PKW, a community service program for some offenders, including senior citizens and juveniles, for flouting the MCO. The most common offence was failing to comply with the MCO by moving from one place to another in any of the infected areas under Regulation 3, subsection 1 of the Prevention and Control of Infectious Diseases Measures within the Local Areas Regulations 2020, which provides for a maximum jail term of 6 months and a fine of up to 1,000 ringgit or both. Some were also charged with obstructing civil servants from performing their duties during the MCO period under Section 186 of the Penal Code, which provides for a maximum jail term of 2 years or a fine of up to 10,000 ringgit or both upon conviction. A group of 24 people, including 7 teenagers, were charged at the Georgetown's Magistrates Court yesterday with defying the Movement Control Order MCO, all for the sake of gathering to buy packs of nasi lemak at a house in Mukim 3, Sungai Pinang, Balik Pulau at 2 a.m. Sunday. All accused, aged between 16 and 40 years, pleaded guilty. Magistrate Nur Azwin Abdul Muati, who presided, imposed a sentence of community service on 17 of the adults charged, including 2 women. The community service is to be provided for 3 hours daily over a course of 3 months. The 17 are expected to report to the Prisons Department, which will determine what type of community service will need to be undertaken. The court fixed 18th June for the submission of the social reports on the 7 teenagers before sentencing can be imposed. The 7 were allowed bail of 1,000 ringgit each. Meanwhile, a businessman was charged at the same court with making an obscene gesture at a cop obstructing a civil servant in the course of conducting his duty, riding his motorcycle in the opposite direction of traffic and defying the Movement Control Order MCO. M. Mathia Lagan, 40, claimed trial to all 4 charges read out to him before Magistrate Chia Hui Ting yesterday. All the alleged offences were committed on 3rd April at 12:15 a.m. The businessman was allowed bail of 12,000 ringgit, while the court fixed 16 June for the next mention of the case. Quick action by the fire and rescue team managed to save the lives of 7 residents of 2 squatter homes which caught fire at Leboh Carnarvon, Georgetown last night. In the 10:43 p.m. incident, fire destroyed about 70% of the squatter homes. Leboh Pantai Fire and Rescue Department Chief Muhammad Rafizi Arafpin said a rescue team arrived at the scene at 10:46 p.m. after receiving a distress call 3 minutes earlier. The team managed to douse the fire within 15 minutes. The cause of the fire is being investigated and all victims have been sent to Hospital Pulau Pinang for treatment. Coming up next, 10 billion ringgit stimulus package for SMEs. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin yesterday unveiled a special stimulus package worth 10 billion ringgit aimed at small and medium-sized enterprises (SMEs) in a bid to soften the impact of the COVID-19 movement control order. The Premier hoped the additional package will ease the financial burden of SMEs and subsequently assure 2/3 of the workforce remained employed. Elaborating further, the Premier said this included increasing wage subsidies now to a total of 13.8 billion ringgit, which will benefit 4.8 million workers across the country.
Bagi majikan yang memilih untuk menerima bantuan ini, mereka disyaratkan untuk mengekalkan pekerja mereka sekurang-kurangnya untuk tempoh 6 bulan, iaitu dalam tempoh 3 bulan semasa menerima subsidi upah dan 3 bulan selepas itu.
Tan Sri Muhyiddin had on 27th March announced the 250 billion ringgit Prihatin Rakyat Economy Stimulus Package Prihatin that would benefit those affected by the COVID-19 crisis in the country. Of the total, 128 billion ringgit has been set aside to protect the welfare and well-being of the people. Under Prihatin, the government has allocated 100 billion ringgit to help businesses including SMEs. Understanding the difficulties faced by companies in submitting statutory documents are required by SSM during the MCO period. The government has agreed to grant an automatic 30-day moratorium from the date of MCO ends for companies to lodge the statutory documents to SSM. In addition, a 3-month extension will also be granted for the lodgement of financial statements for companies with financial year ended 30th September to 31st December 2019. A special Prihatin grant amounting to 2.1 billion ringgit will be established for eligible micro enterprises. A grant of 3,000 ringgit will be provided to each company, benefiting almost 700,000 micro enterprises. The micro SMEs will have to register with LHDN to enjoy this assistance. Abolish the 2% interest rate to 0% under the microcredit scheme amounting to 500 million ringgit under Bank Simpanan Nasional BSN. The soft loan scheme for micro enterprises is also extended to Tekun Nasional with a maximum loan limit of 10,000 ringgit. The Premier also urged owners of private premises to provide similar assistance to their tenants to reduce their rental rates. Owners of buildings or business spaces that provide rental reduction or waiver to tenants that consist of SMEs are given a further tax deduction, which is equivalent to the amount of rental reduction for the months of April until June 2020. To support the execution of the Prihatin initiatives, the imsme.com.my, which is a portal managed by Credit Guarantee Corporation CGC in collaboration with Bank Negara Malaysia, has been established. This portal is ready to accept applications from SMEs on all the initiatives announced. So other than applying for loans directly from the banking institution, all SMEs have an option to apply for loans through the IMSME portal. This portal provides KNP services, that is financing advisory services for SMEs. Meanwhile, the Entrepreneur Development and Cooperatives Ministry MEDAC is committed to ensuring the initiatives announced in the Prihatin package for small and medium enterprises additional measures can be expedited to the target entrepreneurs. In a statement, its Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar said the microcredit scheme announced by the government can facilitate cash flow among the entrepreneurs. MEDAC, through its agency Tekun Nasional, has identified the mechanism to ensure the efficient delivery of the microcredit incentive. Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Junaidi said applicants only need to submit a 1-month financial statement. Applicants blacklisted by the National Higher Education Fund Corporation (PTPTN) can be also considered. Entrepreneurs who have yet to register with the Companies Commission of Malaysia (SSM) are eligible to apply, but they have to do so before the loan can be channeled to them. For more information, one can contact the Tekun's hotline at 03-9059-8888 or visit its website www.tekun.gov.my. Meanwhile, the Perhatian SME package was welcomed by the business fraternity and described as timely. The stimulus package clearly focused on helping SMEs to face the challenges, especially in terms of cash flow and workforce. Datuk Michael Kang Hwa Kiong, President of Small and Medium Enterprises Association of Malaysia, SMEAM, described the package as comprehensive as it covers everyone involved in SMEs.
I think this is the good similar package, and we hope that this all areas the government are covered. This is none of, so far I have not seen any industry or any sector was left out. Include the government also cover micros, include the retailers and the even in class hawker centers. I think they also covers every angles, plus the small and medium industry.
Coming up in the foreign front, China reports no new coronavirus deaths for first time. China on Tuesday reported no new coronavirus deaths for the first time since it started publishing figures in January. The National Health Commission said cases in mainland China have been dwindling since March, but the country faces a second wave of infections brought in from overseas, with health officials reporting nearly 1,000 imported cases in total. China's health authorities reported 32 new cases nationwide, all of which were imported. There were also 30 new asymptomatic infections, health officials said, bringing the national total to 1,033. Around a quarter of the current total of asymptomatic cases were also imported from overseas. Last week, China began disclosing the number of asymptomatic cases for the first time after growing public concerns over the potential of silent carriers to spread the disease. Fears have also been growing over a potential resurgence in the epicenter of Wuhan, where the virus was first detected late last year after a number of asymptomatic cases were confirmed in the central Chinese city. Local authorities revoked the epidemic-free status of 45 residential compounds on Monday. To date, 81,740 people have been infected and 3,331 have been killed by the deadly virus in China, with the vast majority in Wuhan, said the surrounding Hubei province. Meanwhile, the global death toll from the pandemic has surpassed 70,000 as the virus ravages numerous countries in Europe and the US. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson was moved to intensive care Monday when his condition worsened in a battle with the coronavirus, as the death toll from the pandemic hit grim new highs in Europe and the United States. Johnson, the most prominent victim yet of the pandemic, deputized his Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab to stand in for him, but remained conscious, according to Downing Street. The setback came as the death toll from the virus jumped in Western Europe and soared past 10,000 in the United States, taking the global toll above 73,000 out of more than 1.32 million confirmed cases. Britain's 55-year-old Prime Minister had been admitted to hospital on Sunday after testing positive for new coronavirus on 27 March and self-isolating in his Downing Street flat. Johnson was transferred into intensive care as the country's death toll topped 5,000, an increase of 400 in a day. US President Donald Trump was one of many world leaders who expressed concern, saying Americans are all praying for his recovery.
To all the NHS staff, all the hospitals that need it, and in the
In sports, e-sport tourney seeks to unearth young talents. The Youth and Sports Ministry KBS and Esports Malaysia Association ESM have created the My Esports My Stay at Home Challenge tournament as a way to unearth young talents with the potential to take centre stage at the international level. The competition is in line with the Movement Control Order MCO implemented by the government in a bid to curb the spread of COVID-19, where everyone is encouraged to stay home. The ministry said in a statement that the initiative was not just a home-based activity for the duration of the MCO, but also an effort to educate the public on the potential of electronic sports being able to produce professional esports athletes. The online tournament involving 13 states and 2 federal territories begins on Thursday and ends on 14th April. The event, which showcases 2 types of games, Mobile Legends Bang Bang MLBB and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds Mobile PUBG Mobile, is divided into 2 stages, with the state-level tournament scheduled for 9th to 10th April and the national-level competition from 12th to 14th April. 64 teams comprising 320 players are expected to compete at the state-level MLBB game, while another 64 teams with 256 players are being targeted for the PUBG mobile game. Esports enthusiasts or players interested in taking part can find out more about tournament eligibility, registration and terms of participation through ESM and KBS social media platforms. Registration is open to all esports fans, which began yesterday. The Badminton World Federation BWF has postponed all tournaments, including Grade 2 and 3 competitions, from May to July due to the global COVID-19 pandemic. BFW, in a statement issued yesterday, said the decision was reached after consulting the host countries and also the continental confederations. Last week, BFW decided to freeze the world rankings and also world junior rankings backdated to 17th March until further notice due to the pandemic. Yesterday's statement added the escalation of the COVID-19 pandemic globally has led all parties to confirm the suspension of these tournaments. The world governing body also revealed that they are also reviewing the impacts of the rescheduling of the Tokyo 2020 Olympic and Paralympic Games upon the Olympic and Paralympic qualification system. And that concludes today's updates at noon. In our top story, online gambling rampant during MCO. News on 2 comes on at 7 this evening for more updates. I'm Renee Fong. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.